For those of you who have asked me now, and for those of you who haven't, but you're watching, and this applies to you, and you're asking me, is it weird, or have you heard of this, or what's with me being so sensitive throughout my life, and a really good description is someone who gets overwhelmed by the feelings of others when they're around other people, and really needs to get away and get some alone time. Okay. Now there's many other symptoms and things that could be described here, but those of you that have asked me know who you are, so I don't need to go into all that. So let's talk about this. Now, some of you might know that there, in the New Agey type world, there's a term for people who generally fall under that heading called empath or empathic, right? And it basically, to just kind of put it in basic kind of simple terms, it's like being emotionally very psychic, okay? Which means you're psychic, and you're taking, like, the doorway that you're using for taking in psychic energy about others and the environment is through your emotional centers, okay? And I have a lot of personal experience with this, okay? A lot more than I know. Because the way it usually works for most of us is, nobody hands you a book in this world and says, you got this going on and here's the things you should know. You don't know, right? Unless some spirit guide appears to you like an angel at an early age and explains this to you, which happens for a few people, right? But for most of us, it's more an adventure ride of like what is going on, and this can take decades or lifetimes probably to figure out, right? Fortunately, for those of you asking this question, you get to figure it out right now. And this will give you a very good basic place to start in understanding, and this will help a lot, because if you don't know these basic things I'm going to share with you, you end up just continuing to suffer a lot of unnecessary suffering and confusion, and you end up wearing a lot of other people's karma without knowing it, and fighting a lot of other people's fights, and carrying a lot of other people's beliefs, and all sorts of things that you don't know really what's going on, and it's very chaotic, okay? Because being one complex person as a human is very complex to begin with, and then when you have countless parts of other humans all being added to that equation without knowing it all the time, it's a lot. But if you look at it from a slightly higher level, the deal is that you wouldn't be doing that if you were a soul who had developed certain abilities, okay? Now, I've traveled in the astral and been shown a lot of interesting spiritual gifts that people have, okay, that are actually quite common in this world, but people are not aware of it, so you don't see it. You don't see it happening. Sometimes you do, and hopefully you do, because it's possible. If you're looking, you can find these things. I was shown a lot of spiritual gifts that I had, and it was interesting because at first I could accept some of them. My mind could wrap myself around it, like, okay, I can kind of see how I can believe that, and maybe open my mind to that and see what we can do. And then other things, it was like, are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. No. But years later, looking back, it's not ridiculous. None of it's ridiculous at all. So that's why I'm very patient with everybody's skepticism and, how crazy I look from certain perspectives, because I've been exactly there. I've stood exactly on that rock, and I've looked up here and said how crazy that is, And the thing is, and I'm using the metaphor of climbing on rocks just because of a vision thing you can see. It's like, you get to a certain point, and then you see over certain rocks, you can see certain things you couldn't see before. It's not that suddenly you're better than somebody else or anything. It's that you've seen things they haven't seen yet. You've been somewhere and witnessed and experienced and touched it and tasted it and learned and met people that are smarter than you from other places and all this stuff, and it's all proven itself to be real to you, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? What do I do with this? Now the Illuminati type mindset is, I'm just going to use these kind of things and manipulate the world around me according to my will, and let me do dark rituals and see who I can manipulate and screw over for personal gain. But to me, that's not even personal gain. I don't. My heart, parts of me are, that would hurt me. It hurts me to hurt people like that, So I don't. There's no. Not sociopathic. I'm empathic. Like those of you I'm making this video for, so you know what I mean. You see people suffering, and you understand. It can get to you. So, and the alone time thing, by the way, and this ties into self-love, it is very important for you, because of what you are energetically as a being, to honor that need. Okay? That's your meditation time, that's your connect with your higher self time, that's your get counsel from your guides time, that's your doing the physical necessary things for health, whatever you get into that clicks with you that way, what they call you time, I guess, in pop culture. Whatever, man. Do it. Because what happens to people who are empathic and don't know it and go their whole life without figuring this out or ever believing in any of this hooey-gooey spiritual gift stuff, the problem with that is energetically they grind themselves into the grave, just doing everything for everybody else, trying to solve all the world's problems for all the people right around them, and they never slow down to take care of themselves. It eventually just becomes like they wouldn't even know how. They don't know the first thing about emotionally caring for themselves or anything. It reminds me of Mother Teresa, because she's just the saintly, selfless figure that you're encouraged to be, and yet as her life was, carrying on through all that misery, she didn't even know she believed in God. Like, here's a woman who's given everything all the time, and she feels completely cut off from her source. She doesn't even, she feels hopeless inside. Okay? Look, if you're gonna solve any of the world's problems, first of all, relax and realize everything's fine, and people are karmically responsible for their own situation anyway. Now, if you want to solve some problems, let's creatively make this world into a utopia. That's awesome. But don't do any of it out of fear or stress. That's pointless. You'll just run around and fight with each other like everybody else on this world's doing. It doesn't work. It never ever works. Energetically, it doesn't work. Okay, what works? Love yourself truly as the divine creator you are in your heart. Find it. I don't care which pathways it takes. I don't care, you need to prioritize this. And when you have that connection, it's all good. None of that other stuff even matters anymore. Okay? So, what else can I give you? So if you're a naturally empathic person, you need to understand that for your health's sake, and I'm talking mental, emotional, and physical, they're all tied together, okay? As your emotions are destroyed, your body will follow. As your body is destroyed, your emotions will follow. As your mind is destroyed, your body will follow. Do you see where I'm going with this? It's all tied together, guys. Okay? You're a multi-dimensional being, and those are just a few of the dimensions right there that are easy to see. But anyway, self-love and self-care. Here's some spiritual truth. At the highest level, everything's one consciousness and one being. It's all the same thing. It's the same thing that's created all this out of itself to have experiences as individuals in infinite different forms of life. So, there's no form of it more important than you. And which form of it are you individually the most responsible for? Think about that. What's the world got you doing if you run around trying to fix everybody else and you just give yourself a disease because you're so dysfunctional and you don't take care of yourself or love yourself? Think about it. Who did you have the very most power and the very most responsibility to heal and look out for and make sure that they grow and expand and get what they need out of this experience they're having here? Okay? And guess what happens when you do that? Guess what happens when you put that first priority and you find out who you really are? the creative, one-of-a-kind, nobody's ever seen it before creator that is inside of you, waiting in your center, for you to discover. Automatically, the life you'll live from there will help everybody else way more than anything else you ever could have done by running around and trying to fight for this cause or rally for that cause, or do whatever this group says and do whatever that leader says. The energetic truth, mathematically, scientifically, spiritually, on this planet is, if you find your center in your core and your heart and the true creator being that you are, and express from there, whatever you gift this world with will end up helping it and lifting it up and bringing it into what it can really be and evolving it, and you and everyone else in the process, more than any other life you could have lived. So if somebody wants to call that selfish and tell you not to go there, it's a wizard thing. It's a hand trick. It's one thing that looks like another, but it's not. Okay? It's wordplay. It's an illusion. Those are two entirely different things. One of them, we're talking about fixing the galaxy, the center of it, the core of it, honoring the divine life source of love, energy that will connect you like a portal to a higher dimension of what you come from and a higher level of knowing. Think of it as energy, guys, not foo-foo, silly, fairy stuff, okay? Think of it however you like to, okay? Your mind and your heart know best. There's no more powerful thing you're ever going to do more to transform this world into a better image. But better is not any of those things you've been told are better. That's somebody else's agenda of better. You know what better will be in this world? When you discover the divine creator within you and bring out and express whatever that is. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying the world around you is ready for it. But hey, we came here for an adventure, guys. We didn't come here because it's easy. And we didn't come here to sit here and suppress everything we are and hold it all in. You can. You got free will. If you decide but that's what you came here for, fine. I have to respect that. I'm enlightened enough to know if you use your free will, whatever decision, fine. I'll respect it. But my spidey senses tell me that most of you would rather expand into a multi-dimensional awareness of what you are and have many more layers of experience to your existence instead of living a one-dimensional version of yourself, like a cartoon that's so almost not real that you start questioning, what's the point? Or many of you have, already been through questioning that a lot, right? I know I did. More than questioned it. Like, you have no idea. But that's why I can relate. That's why I understand. I've experienced all the spectrums of vibration in this world, okay? And below this world. And now I experience one's way above this world. Because there's an equal and opposite. If you've been to what you metaphorically call hell, then to me that gives you a pretty good idea energetically of which way to go towards what you might metaphorically call heaven. So all the things that got you to hell, like horrible belief systems in your heart, eating you up and destroying your mind, and filling you full of nightmares, and attracting negative people and negative entities to make you feel even worse about yourself, there's an equal and opposite to that. Imagine the opposite, okay? Start creating it the same way you created this. Then you find out you're a creator. That's what you are. All those stories about how you're in trouble with God or this or that, no. You're a piece of God. You're a particle of God. You know those lava lamp things where they shake it like this and all the pieces get all different? Some of them are bigger and some of them are smaller. Well, your oversoul's like a big piece of that stuff, and you're one of its avatars. You're one of the little bubbles experiencing it. But you're actually that oversoul too, because your bubble is going to float back up. You're going to reconnect and find out what you really are. And believe me, you're great beyond words. So don't waste your life here being scared, being told you're some little helpless, dumb thing, and you better be afraid of the boogeyman and the demons and this and that. Fear has a lot of power, but that's you. That's your creative power. You can attract all sorts of things like a magnet with your fear. You can attract all sorts of things like a magnet with your love. Think about it. The world is the hell it is because people are trained to be full of fear. So that you're being used like a generator to create a world out of fear. Like in the Matrix, okay? You're being used as an energy source to create somebody else's world. And they want you to live in a world of fear where you all fight with each other and you're scared shitless of the boogeyman and each other and this belief system and this God and that group and this government and this, endless list of shit. Guys, think about it, okay? You're the creative power making it happen, okay? So, if your creative power can be used to create a hell on earth, your creative power can be used to create whatever else you want to imagine. You see what I'm saying? Knowledge is power. It's not the evil devil monster giving you knowledge and God's mad at you because now you got knowledge because God's so insecure and weird and had to lie to you about everything. The world's full of weird, twisted, perverted ideologies. Drop them. Let them go. And as you find your heart, you'll know all this anyway. Okay? Your heart is free. Like they say in Braveheart, right? Your heart is free. That's why the world doesn't encourage you to know that at all. Because if your heart's open, you're not even controllable. You're in touch with, you're in touch with a lot, okay? I can't even say how much. I'm learning as I go, all right? And it's more than I can list already, what I've come in to know and encounter, okay, through these changes. So, a lot of you were right there. And these kind of questions reflect that. I feel where you're at. It's familiar terrain to me. So I can help you feel your way through what seems kind of like a blind journey at times, but it'll get to a point where it's no longer a blind journey, okay? It will. You get up to a point where there's enough light you can actually see what's happening to you, and there will be no going back then because you'll see enough to know that no one can ever deceive you again into going back into some kind of slavery built out of fear after you surpass a certain point, okay? And you'll also know that you don't have to fight anybody or go hurt anybody because you can energetically change this world. You're an energy generator, and now you're energy generating out of the power of inspiration and love and passion, which is actually more powerful than that dumbed down, hopeless kind of energy that most people are generating this dismal, hellish world out of, okay? We're all way more powerful generators than we realize. So now I'm talking about generators because it relates to the heart, and we're dealing with energy here. I hope that ties together in everybody's mind and makes sense to everyone. But this is basically about energy. It's about understanding empathic energy, being emotionally psychic. Now this is something you can learn to control. I control mine now. I turn it like a thermostat. I turn it to where I want it. I need to feel a little bit of emotion. For example, if any of you want to get a reading from me, now I can do a reading with nothing more than a name, and you'll get, no doubt, wisdom sent to you through the reading. But if you were to talk to me, if I was to get to actually see you and hear you and feel your energy that way, and then you asked for a reading, it would be easier for more to come through. We're talking about energetic connections here and stuff, guys. I don't fully understand all of it myself, but it's real. And the more you work with it, the more you'll find that. And the less you'll have fear, okay? It's like becoming an adult and learning that, when you were a kid, in the old days, they used to tell kids scary ass shit just so they wouldn't run off and disappear in the woods, I can kind of understand that. So they would tell their kids these boogeyman stories, right? Now, there's better things they could have done, but I can understand the logic, what they were thinking. But you got the same situation going on with adult humans in this society now. It's adult people who, in what you might call a consciousness sense, have been kind of kept in diapers on purpose, okay? And filled with fear. And I'm not laughing at anybody, okay? It's not funny. And I've been in the same damn diapers that people are in. So that's why I'm saying this. It's a very open, real, you guys have to feel that I come from a place of this is only to help in this world. Whoever's open to the help, whoever can work with the energy of it, that's good, because that passes on and it's unlimited what can happen, okay? So any language I can use to try to relate and make it clear, it's not funny, it's not a joke. It is what it is, okay? And there are many worlds out there. I don't know how many of you really want to know, want to hear about that kind of stuff, but life is at different levels of awareness in a lot of different places. And this is not a very what you might call advanced planet out of what there is to compare to. And that's perfectly okay, and the lessons here are just as meaningful. But the truth is, a lot of us, if we would use the things that are naturally in us, it would become an advanced planet really fast, okay? So that's what it's about. And I know you feel me, okay? So, enough said. And if that's you, okay, now you know you're an empathic person. Google a little bit, learn about people's experiences. No doubt there's lots of suggested protocols, ways to work with energy. As with most things with me, my path has not been so much about following protocols, although I do see that they work for people, and I have tried a few things and they've worked for me. What I've mostly done is isolate myself and learn to work with my spirit guides, okay? There's nothing like a lot of isolation and alone time to actually learn how to communicate with somebody who's trying to communicate with you. And as you learn to trust them, then you get to meet them more clearly, and then you find that they are worthy of your trust. Now, this is if you're coming from a pure place. Here's a little more wisdom about how this works, guys. If you're coming from a place of greed or envy or wanting to hurt somebody or wanting to take sides, or you think somebody's a bad guy and your spirit guide's going to help you get them, you can get a spirit guide like that. And the thing is, though, you're pulling somebody from a really low vibration to you, and before they're done helping you, if they do attempt to help you, they're going to want something in return, okay? It's not going to come, they're not doing it just for your best interest, okay? Just like in this world, if you go looking for shady characters to do shady things, there's a good chance something shady can happen to you. And I'm not telling you nightmare stories. I'm not saying the boogeyman's going to drag you off to hell. I'm just saying that the influence that you're already under when you're thinking that way is not the best. And it's kind of like a dig in your grave thing. Some spirits are very into destruction and hurting people and stuff, and so if that's what you're vibing with, you can pick up on their energy and get real pumped up with it and go do that. And they might even sit with you in your prison cell for all the years you'll be in there. I'm not sure. So if that's the kind of spirit guide you're looking for, you can have that experience. You see how this works, guys? It's just energy and reality. It's like people here. You use your discernment, and if somebody feels threatening and awful, well, don't trust them. Okay, that's a good place to start in the astral. And if somebody fills you with an amazing feeling of love and unconditional peace and joy and enlightenment and awareness, and you're becoming enlightened as you're feeling their energy, I'd probably soak up a bit of that and not freak out, okay? You know, it's just stuff like that. But, you know, a lot of these things are things you have to feel. The self-love has to be felt. I'll do more videos. I'm doing paid services now, and that's going to become one at some point as my guides make it clear to me which type of methods are best, most likely for me to work either one-on-one or with groups. When that becomes more clear, and what process to follow and what's going to work best energetically, because it's really something people need to feel, and that can be done. And when you feel it for yourself, it's like a blind person swimming and finding a buoy and kind of remembering where it is. It's like it gets easier to move your energy to that feeling frequency again in your heart, okay? It's kind of like that. That's how it works. So anyway, we'll be working on this, guys. Let me know your thoughts, your feelings, and we'll go from there. I love you all. Jedi's over and out for now.